Trump cows to North Korea's Kim Jong Un. On the same day, Russia says Russia and North Korea are fighting to establish what they call a new and righteous world order. And then Trump went ballistic when he was questioned by CNN about why he is scaling back military exercises with South Korea, a country, of course, that has been core to America's defense for 80 years, where the United States has about 30,000 troops.
Did he ask you specifically to scale back on those?
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I just wanted to follow up on the South Korea question.
You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong Un, if he had asked you to scale back on those military exercises.
Obviously, Christian Holmes' fair and important question struck a nerve, because it is shocking that the United States would scale back exercises with South Korea, the country where America has its largest military base abroad, largest military base outside the United States, in South Korea. So why is Trump doing it? Well, here's one reason he gave.
Kim Jong Un has always treated me with great respect, and we met on numerous occasions, actually, two primary occasions, spoken and spent time. I understand him. He understands me.
So this is about, keep in mind, Trump also said that North Korea today has been, quote, unthreatening. And of course, none of this is true. North Korea launched a threatening ballistic missile test just before these joint exercises between the U.S. and South Korea began, as he has, by the way, many times during Trump's presidency. In fact, this was North Korea's second reported launch in less than a week, as the country is pushing to expand its nuclear missile arsenal, including new missiles designed to hit the United States of America. Yes, back in March, North Korea conducted a test for a missile engine capable of hitting the U.S. mainland. And that's just a few of the weapons tests that Kim Jong Un has conducted while President Trump has been in office, these people who understand each other and have such a great relationship. Kim even noted back in March that thanks to the war in Iran, North Korea's nuclear status is now, quote unquote, irreversible. Now, of course, Kim, who Trump famously said sent him a love letter, and who Trump now claims understands him, had that whole summit, if you remember, just to get Kim to abandon nukes. Remember back in Singapore? Well, that summit, of course, failed, and North Korea has long seen the United States as its ultimate enemy, not South Korea. After all, here are some of the videos released by North Korea over the years. There's the one with a target on the White House. Look at this. Zooms in. Boom. U.S. Capitol blows up. Another with a missile flying through space across the globe and meanders its way. Where's it going? Nope, not to Seoul. No, where's it going? Where's it going? Oh, Washington, D.C. Non-threatening, right? Another missile sent to destroy the United States. Look, we see this imagery time and time again from Kim Jong Un, right? There's no question about whether it's a hostile country to the United States, right? So why is Trump giving Kim the biggest possible prize, pulling back on America's single biggest foreign military base, dropping joint military exercises? Well, let's just circle back to where I began with Russia, which tonight confirmed that North Koreans are fighting with Russians in Ukraine to drive out the quote-unquote Ukrainian Nazi clique. In fact, according to Volodymyr Zelensky, there are now up to 50,000 North Korean troops on the front lines for Russia. Again, Putin's top emissary tonight said that Russia and North Korea are fighting together to establish a new and righteous world order. You don't need to kind of read between the lines to understand that what they're saying is it replaces the United States-led world order, right? And Trump's actions now support the new and righteous world order of Putin and Kim Jong Un. So again, we have to ask, why is Trump doing this? And why is he so angry at a reporter, at our Kristen Holmes, for asking questions about it? Why is he aiding and abetting Putin and Kim Jong Un? Is it about something bigger? Or is it as petty as vengeance at South Korea for not helping him with Iran?
When I called recently the president of South Korea, who I think he's very nice, actually, but I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no, thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong Un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you?
Kristen Holmes is out front at the White House. And Kristen, all of this clearly hit a nerve with Trump today. There are extremely serious and legitimate questions about what's going on here, of course, which you were asking there.
Yeah, and Aaron, there's precedent for this. That's why this question is so important. President Trump there saying that he had some kind of communication or opened the door to communication with Kim Jong Un. And then shortly afterwards, this announcement that they were scaling back the military exercises with our ally, South Korea. I'm going to bring you back several months to when Zelensky was coming to the White House, and the day before, we knew Zelensky was going to ask for Patriot missiles. The day before, President Trump talked to President Putin, and because of that phone call, the next day, he denied giving Zelensky Patriot missiles, citing conversations that he had had with Vladimir Putin. So this is a real and justifiable question. There's also an issue about how this pertains overall to the other crisis that he is facing, which is this war in Iran. The idea that North Korea has been stockpiling illegal nuclear weapons, what message is that sending to Iran that he is willing to support North Korea in this as they stockpile these illegal nuclear weapons, or at least look the other way? Now, all of this is coming at a point where President Trump seems to be, at least foreign policy-wise, completely spiraling, and that is likely due to what we are seeing here at home. There is no end in sight to this war in Iran. And in fact, President Trump is saying the same thing today that he said 5 months ago, that they want to negotiate, that they're not going to come up with a deal that he likes, and that the baseline premise of this entire war is to make sure Iran doesn't get nuclear weapons. That does not change anything that we have seen other than an enormous amount of use of U.S. military force in Iran in the last 5 months. Now, part of the reason he is likely having so many issues, particularly when it comes to Iran and answering these questions, is this poll. The poll that we did at the end of last month, in which we asked voters if they believe that the Iran war was worth both the U.S. lives lost and the financial costs, and 74% of Americans said no. Those polls are not lost on this White House.
A question about whether he was prioritizing the interests of North Korea. His response was, no, I'm making it much safer. Talked about his relationship with Kim Jong Un, saying that he understands him, he understands me, I'm making things safer. Is this action actually making things safer?
Well, I think if you go back and look at historically where we've been with regard to the United States partnering with South Korea, we have 28,500 soldiers, sailors, and airmen there, is to defend the people of South Korea and importantly, kind of defend the principle of territorial sovereignty. We've been there for decades, since the end of the Korean War, of course, and we lead the United Nations Command. So it's important that we're there to defend that country, and the exercises are part of that to maintain deterrence and practice defense. In fact, the All-Chief Freedom Shield is one of two exercises that are conducted each year, one in March, one in August. It's a very successful exercise. It's both the United States and South Korea, but also other nations participate or observe as well. And they are about defense, and by extension about deterrence of North Korea. Now, that said, look, I think it's a good idea that we increase our outreach to North Korea. They're a country now that possesses, as estimated by outside experts, 60 nuclear weapons, which is far more than the 20 or so that they had when President Trump left office in 2021. So the nuclear tensions are there on the peninsula, that capability. North Korea, of course, has gained experience from fighting in Ukraine, of all places, on the side of Russia. And so they present a greater threat in many ways. So I like the fact that the administration, the White House, wants to reach out, but I don't think the way to start is necessarily to begin by decreasing our deterrence by weakening these annual exercises. I think we should maintain those, and then eventually, if it becomes part of something else, then that's the case.